who is asking the right questions. Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on Vop TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeats, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on Vop TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector, from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy. The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on Vop TV. Entertainment like never before. Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy, and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice. In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is African News on Voice of the People Television. We don't just bring you the news, we analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing Vop TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. Vop TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, Vop TV. Now you have more than a voice. And giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. Vop TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
2564 is coming up on Barney 9, right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health check only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
Join us on People's Voice, where we amplify the voice of those that matters the most. Join the conversation. Share your thoughts with me. I am Savior Udo. Weekdays, Monday through Friday, from 4 p.m. to 5. Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People television. Don't just react, understand.
In a world where power shifts with every headline,
in a nation full of questions,
in a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let's come together and share our concerns.
welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpehon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not playing in the cross, please the sport.
Yes, obviously everybody knows the game is beautiful, and that's why I love sports. My name is Kizzy K. You're welcome to my republic. But remember, there can never be a transfer without a window. Just like there can never be a deep thinking without a Pep Guardiola in football. You can't say tennis without talking about Djokovic. So why not give me attention on the show so I can run your race on the TV like Lewis Hamilton, Formula 1 star. Don't forget, when God have mercy on you, you can achieve your goals like Cristiano Ronaldo. I am a proud Nigerian, and right here, we talk NFF. For every sports update, commentaries, live interviews on the game, we got you on this, because right here at Voice of the People TV, the Sports Public Show has got everything just for you to be part of it. I love the beautiful game, and that's why Kizzy K loves sports.
Extraordinary. Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing Vop TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. Vop TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People television. Vop TV. Now you have more than a voice.
It's a beautiful Friday morning, bright and sunny in this part of Lagos, and I hope it is where you are. Thank God today is Friday. Good morning and welcome to VOP this morning. I am Chukuma Okoro, but I'm not alone here in the studio. In the next 2 hours or so, we'll take you through very interesting stories, things that happened in Nigeria, and we'll have our analysts help us explain all of that. We'll start from the world of insecurity, where weapons lifted from Libya were found with a terrorist here in Nigeria. That's according to a UN report, as Boko Haram spread massively to Southwest. So we'll move away from that. We'll talk about forced labor sanctions. Trump slams Nigeria with fresh 12.5% tariff hammer. And in the world of politics, Pastor Adeboye too old for change. That's coming from Peter Obi to Nigerian youths. Well, those are the major topics of discussion. But beyond that, we also have other interesting trending stories. Good morning, beautiful people. Good morning, Moses. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning to you, Chukuma. Good morning, Nigerians. Okay, I said I was going to change good morning and start using something else.
What is that?
So I'm still working on something else.
Okay, maybe you try Wazobia. Otutu Oma.
Otutu Oma sounds good.
Otutu Oma.
Nagode.
Ekaro and Nagode.
Abadie. After all, it's a Friday, so we're dressing down. So representing Nigeria. So Abadie, Otutu Oma,
Ekaro,
Ibolachi. Which other one?
Ekaro. Nagode.
Yawa. Nagode. Welcome to the program.
Moses, that wasn't what you were planning to. So take us back to
the original plan.
The original plan.
I don't know what the original plan is. But anyway, welcome to the program. Of course, there are other trending issues that we will be getting into in the course of time. And well, do know that we are here to serve you the best we can. So we'll be touching on the papers this morning, looking at headlines that made it to the cover pages as well. And that's before we get into the main conversation proper. But let's look at a few things happening. Now, in a move aimed at protecting consumers, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has directed electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, to compensate Band A customers who suffered supply shortfalls between February and March 2026. The regulator explained that the shortfalls, caused largely by gas supply disruptions and vandalism of critical infrastructure, prevented DISCOs from meeting their targets. Well, their promised service levels of 20 to 24 hours daily supply under the new directive. Non-maximum demand customers will receive 20% of their February energy cap as compensation, while maximum demand customers will get 20% of their average energy billed in February. Well, prepaid customers also will see credit in their tokens, while postpaid customers will benefit through bill adjustments, with NERC warning DISCOs not to offset these credits against existing debts. Importantly, feeders that recorded less than 18 hours of supply will not be downgraded, ensuring customers remain in Band A while still receiving, what is due onto them. Oh, well. Good news for those in Band A who were deprived due to no fault of theirs, gas supply. But you see, we're back to, I feel, you know how it is when you step out of your house and you don't have power, but then you look down the road or, through your window, you see that your neighbor has, and it's not like they're running generator. It's not like they're using solar. It's just that the DISCO decides to give them, because of sharing and the rest of it. So you just start feeling bad. So those that are neighbors with those in band A, how will they feel? Those who are on band B and C and their neighbors, maybe the next street or the next estate or something is band A, they'll feel bad. And we're still, it's interesting that we're talking about developments in Nigeria. Well, this is a laudable one, I must say. I hope the discos don't circumvent this one way or another. But it's interesting that we're still struggling with 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts, and we are dividing people into bands. When countries like South Africa is doing 47,000 megawatts, 47,000 distributed. So people have power. Regardless of what part of the country you're in, you have power. We should do better. We should do better.
We should really do better. In fact, when you were talking about it and talking about how you come out of your house and look down the road, I just remembered at the height of this band A, band B, and C, the disparity was so obvious.
You guys are in band A, right?
Yeah, we're in band A, but right now everybody's in band E. There's no A. There's no A and B or C or whatever again, because the lines have been blurred. But I want us to actually look at how the refund works. It said regular house owners will get 20% back as free tokens or direct credit on their bills. Large businesses will get 20% of their bills. But NERC has told the discos that they cannot use the money to clear any old debts. So it must be a fresh credit into their account. I love the idea. On paper, it sounds very lofty, but I'm thinking about the practicality. Is it possible? Because you recall, I think last month, the Senate actually told aviation airlines to refund monies, to customers. They overcharged during the December period, and up till now, this is June. Nothing has happened. So, I mean, let this not just be like one of those pronouncements. Let them back it up with action. Because at the end of the day, what Nigerians just want is a country that works, a system that works. Exactly. At least if we can't be secure on the roads, let's even have lights in our house.
So we can stay indoors.
Yes, so we can stay indoors.
Yes, I'm not surprised that we are back to this again. And there's practically any week we don't talk about electricity failure, power failure in this country. And this is something that I did almost 15 years ago in my career, as a journalist, reporting power outage, reporting national grid collapse, reporting how discos are shafting Nigerians, and all of that. And it persists. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Governments come and go. Committees are set up. Committees are set up to review the work of the committees. And when we come back after 3 years, we set up another committee
to review the work of the other committee
that review the work of the other committee. And so in all of this is not the first time that NERC is coming out in this fashion to say, well, you have at some point shafted customers, so you have to make a refund. It's a difficult thing for Nigerians to understand. And I think, Jane, you said something that always strikes me, I mean, this is a difficult time to be a Nigerian.
It is.
For people like you who had it good at some point. For me, it has always been like this, since in fact, it keeps getting worse. Right from the time I left university, things were good. How I left school in June, went for service in September and all of that, and got to do youth service, finished that, got a job and was paid 3,000, which was a lot of money. At some point, 7,500. All of a sudden, everything started in a reverse mode. And since it got into a reverse mode, it has never returned, to the right mode. And so that is what we are discussing.
You see, it's interesting when people say, oh, things were good at some point.
Honestly.
My mother, God bless her soul, will talk about, how she was able, how with 10 naira, you can furnish your apartment, you can buy one furniture or the other, you can, but then I go back in time and I hear, is it Onyeka when? Who did that song? Nigeria
Go Better.
Is it not?
Onyeka, right?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Pardon?
Veno?
No.
Nigeria go survive.
Nigeria
go better. Africa, our people go better.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you think back, you see that people back then were hoping that things would be better. So how then were things better? That means things were not even better.
No, that's
things
the
were
point.
not better.
No, things were better.
But they were hopeful.
No, things
and we
were
are
good.
still hopeful.
No, things were good then, And all of a sudden, it started
I think the economy was stable.
The economy was not just stable. The purchasing power was high. Moses, the car you drive now, let's say that you bought it like 3 or 4 years ago, probably for 7.5 million naira. Use that 7.5 million naira, get into a car mart and see if you can get a car of of that car at the value of 7.5. Nigerian use, I'm not talking about Tokumbo and all of that.
Yeah.
And so, like I told a story of growing up, electricity was everywhere in the cities. You know, in school, we hardly had, at secondary school level, we hardly had power outage and all of that. So we didn't plan. Our leaders didn't plan. The population theory of Malthus, you know, how if it grows, you need to plan as it grows and all of that. Our people didn't plan. We were just consuming. And so when we made long-term plans, what about the short-term one? We had national rolling plans. We had Vision 2000. We had Vision 2010. They now pushed it to 2010. 2010 and all of that. Abacha did all that he did, and there was no follow-up. And so that is where we are today. And they are saying, okay, we have 13,000 megawatts of electricity. But we cannot even take half of that. We can take only 4.5 or so. Because if you dump the whole of that, it will collapse. Yeah. So it's a problem. People need to be rewarded if you have shafted them at one point or the other. But my problem is, what do we do in the immediate? Do we even have long-term plans to say, okay, in the next 10, 15 years, we will not come back to this position? That is the problem. The governments of the day are very busy planning
2027.
2027. Okay, so now the people are dissatisfied. What do? There's fuel price increase, give them rice. Hospitals are not working, give them rice. People have been kidnapped, give them rice. People have been killed, give them rice. People in IDP camps, give them rice. So what are the long-term and short-term plans?
Yeah.
You know, to ensure that in the next 10, 15 years, we won't come back to what we are doing now. Like I said, I have discussed this in my career in the past 15, 20 years, and nothing has changed. Instead, it keeps getting worse. That's the problem.
On a lighter note, let me correct the impression you made earlier when you said people like you who had it really, really well. I didn't really have it really, really well. We all have our
anyway, you're telling us that.
We all
Let's
have
move
our
away
story.
from that and get into another interesting discussion. Well, Nigeria has been thrust into the global spotlight for 2 devastating crises that strike at the heart of ordinary lives. Well, a news report by Norwegian Refugee Council lists Nigeria among the world's most neglected displacement emergencies, with millions uprooted by conflict, banditry, and climate shocks, receiving little international attention or aid. At the same time, the World Health Organization warns that unsafe food kills 1.5 million people annually worldwide, with Nigeria among the hardest hit due to poor regulation, contaminated produce, and weak enforcement of food safety standards. Together, this crisis form part of a grim future that is, before Nigerians and all of that. The first one is displacement. We're talking about IDPs. If you go to Benue State alone, they are in the neighborhood of maybe about 800,000 displaced people. I'm not talking about people that came from other states. I'm talking about people that were internally displaced in Benue State alone. The same thing in Plateau State. If you go to Borno, the number is outrageous and all of that. And so when the Refugee Commission says that, does it appear that Nigerian people, the people in government, they don't know about all of this? They do know. We had our first lady travel to Benue State sometime in the first quarter of this year. And you know what she did? Sorry, women, men, children, it's unfortunate that you are here, but what can I do for you? Take 1 billion naira. For what? People are living in their ancestral homes, in their native land. You don't talk about that. But you give them 1 billion naira for what? Do you have schools in IDP camps? And people keep procreating there. Living conditions, sanitary conditions are very poor and all of that. Just look at it. Internally displaced people. We're not talking about refugees. If you go to Cameroon, they have Nigerian refugees there. Yeah. And the Borno State government, the governor of Babagana Zulum, has been making arrangements with the Cameroonian government to see how they can bring back these people in batches with, 350,000 or 500,000 naira apiece for them to go back to farming. Which farms are you talking about? The other day, the Shehu of Borno cried out, hey, how many local governments do we have under the control of insurgents, under the control of terrorists? And we keep discussing this thing every day, going back and forth. The government is not doing enough. The thing is spreading. It started from the northeast. Northwest is covered. North Central is already taken. Southwest is there. In some parts of the Southeast, communities have been sacked in Ebonyi and Enugu State. South, the same thing. In Edo State, people can't go to farm. So you discover that the entire country has been enveloped by insecurity. We have a government at the central level, that's talking about the federal government. We have the governments at the state level. We have local government and local government authorities. Now, what do? At every turn, every month, they sign out security votes in excess of billion nairas per state. So what do they do with the money? Buy police vehicles or what? Patrol vans, give money to people that they think. In fact, as a matter of fact, in some parts of the north, they use the money to settle terrorists and bandits and kidnappers. So what have we become as a people? We are gradually going back to the Hobbesian state of nature where life is short, brutish, and nasty for the ordinary person. And so what is the essence of the social contract that we entered into with our leaders? We surrender our rights to you as a sovereign for you to use it to protect us. Are you still protecting us, or have you become adept at regime protection? At every turn, you see people in government protect themselves, you know. They go to Aso Rock, remove all themselves from the national grid, use 17 billion naira. I didn't say million, I said billion naira to build a what? What do they call it? Solar system.
Solar power grid.
Solar power and all of that. Meanwhile, the average Nigerian, I can go on and on. Is it in the education sector? Is it in the health sector? Is it in the transportation sector? Someone traveled to the east the other time and he was coming back. He said Asaba the Delta State is a mess. In a hold-up for like 3 or 4 hours in the city center. Oil-producing state. What do? They have, apart from the money they get, they have 13% derivation. And the governor says, oh, this is a federal road. How about the state roads? Have you fixed them? I can go on and on and on.
It's even more heartbreaking when you think about what just happened in Orire community or your state, where representatives of the governor went visiting the traditional head in that place and then tried to console the people with rice.
And I loved what they did.
Rice and money.
I loved what they did.
How?
I love that they turned it down.
How is it that somebody loses a child, somebody loses a spouse, a sibling, and what comes to your mind is give them rice? I don't understand that mindset. I can't fathom it.
Maybe they have appropriately or inappropriately profiled Nigerians as hungry people.
Apparently, that's what it is. Give them rice. You lose a child, it's okay. Give them rice and money. Money to do what with?
I think there's something. I think there's something
to buy condiments and make stew.
They are cut off from the reality of.
Far removed.
They are far removed from the reality of the average Nigerian. It's just like they're in one cocoon and they can't see what is happening. And it's so sad because before they became public office holders, they were Nigerian. They are Nigerians first and foremost. So it just seems as though they are not in touch with reality. It just seems like they're in a different world of their own. And it's also sad, maybe because Nigerians have also trained them to understand that, okay, just give us rice. Give us money.
No, Nigerians didn't train them that way.
Nigerians didn't.
Okay, so why do they have that mindset?
I don't know why. And it's to be honest, it's this administration.
But it has always been there, but I think it's rife.
I can't recall that it's always been there. I can't recall that it's always been there.
It's always been
there. This
there.
administration has taken it overboard.
Yeah.
But I think Nigerians have actually, the people in Orire have sent a message.
Yes.
So if they are sensible, if they are sensitive and responsive, they will understand, oh, looks like this track is no longer working. If people are rejecting rice, you know, like Ghanaians did during the elections. They took truckloads of rice to them and say, hey, no,
in Ghana as well too.
That's why I feel terrible when some people say it's your money, it's your resource. When they give it to you, collect it, but don't vote. No. I think we'll be doing ourselves great injustice if you say, oh, okay, because it's your resource, it's your money, so they stole it from you and they are giving you rice, collect the rice, but don't vote for them. I think we are doing ourselves a great injustice.
I think the better thing, or the best thing is to reject it outright.
Let them know.
So that you make a statement.
Exactly. Let them know that, look, we are not a hungry people. We might be hungry now, but we want better.
And anyway. I think maybe Nigerians, I do know that there's a lot of poverty and hunger in the land, but I think we should also learn to endure a bit. You know, the same way this administration says, things will get tougher before it gets easier. Maybe Nigerians should also endure a bit. When I mean endure, reject those monies, reject those foods, endure that, poverty. Just live between your means, and let's get the right people, into office and kick out these guys. That's just my take on it.
All right, let's run to the papers now. There's another story about banks making 209.18 billion naira in monies collected from card maintenance, account maintenance, and the rest of them. I think we touched a little on that yesterday. Large sums of money collected. And there's a list of the banks, some banks that made quite a huge sum. Well, there's the argument to the fact that some of these monies are gotten from, are taken from current account holders, debits that, and it speaks to the fact that people are doing a lot more transactions these days.
Yeah, that's what it means. Yeah.
But then, did they increase the charges arbitrarily without informing the people? That's another thing. And at what point does it cross the threshold of maintenance cost into profiteering? At what point? Now you are encouraging people to do, USSD transactions, mobile transactions, and the rest of them. People use ATMs, there are charges on ATMs. You use USSD, there are charges on USSD. So whichever one you use, there are charges. If care is not taken, Nigerians will go back to the era of burying monies in their backyard, because you get the money, you put it there, you bring it out, you do what you want to do. But then if you go through the banks and the banks are charging you so much for every transaction, then how then is the digitalization benefiting the people? That's the big question.
It's a big question. I think the whole thing is shrouded in fraud. It's very fraudulent. You know why? Last month, the month of May, I got a debit of 1,570 naira.
That means you did a lot of transactions.
SMS charges. That means you have
on your savings account.
On my savings account.
So, on your savings account?
On my savings account, yes.
Okay.
On my savings account. And so what it means, if 6 naira per charge means that I did a total of 261 transactions. Am I a trader? What do I sell?
No, we need to check your transaction history, because it's absurd, really.
It's absurd. 261 SMS if you times it by 6 naira. And so what does that tell you? It tells you that it's fraudulent, because I went back to my history and I discovered that I didn't even do up to like 50, 60 transactions. Like I keep asking, so how in the month of May, was I a trader? What did I trade on? I'm an anchor. And so when I anchor, do I do that transaction with my bank account? And so this is how banks post profits. They are not creative. They don't do anything. They don't help the economy. Go and look for a fund now to fund a business. They'll look at it. If it is long term, they'll run away. They'll give you money to go to China, bring in goods, dump it. They'll send their account officer to stay there. They sell and collect. That's the only way about how creative are banks now. They don't do anything. They just sit by and collect money and post profits.
Oh, well. And the people suffer, basically. Oh, well, let's quickly take a few headlines and then we'll get into our conversation proper. From the Nigerian Tribune, these are the headlines here. State Police Constitutional Framework near completion. Presidency, Afenifere demands its immediate creation. We have Oyebanji signs 2 new laws as Assembly marks 3rd anniversary. Gunmen shoot Osun Accord chairman. Police begin probe. Court remands Ekiti LGA vice chairman for alleged self-kidnap to raise funds. Interesting. 2027, we want to see credible election in Nigeria. British High Commissioner tells APC chairman. Unite against terror. FG rallies citizens, media, security agents to united front against terrorism. Minority leader race. Reps in rowdy session over alleged signature forgery. Those are the headlines there. On top of the masthead, we have Dangote refinery ramps up to 700,000 barrels per day, strengthens Africa's energy landscape. House security agents foiled plot to bomb Ondo government house. That's coming from Ayedatiwa. Well, those are the headlines from Nigeria Tribune.
The Guardian newspaper, World Environment Day, how abuses, poor regulations fuel health crisis, economic losses. Nigeria finishes 5th as South Africa leads top performing African nations. Federal government screens 400 Nigerians for repatriation from South Africa. Anxiety grows over insecurity as federal government ramps up rescue operations. NERDC orders discos to compensate Ban A customers over power supply shortfalls. Dangote Refinery expands output to 700,000 BPD ahead of 1.4 MBPD target. Nest Oil, FBN receiver Solo Gambari hits with contempt of court, risks sanctions. State police framework almost ready for constitutional amendment. NCDC urges governors to boost Ebola prevention funding. Wike mocks Turaki-led group for nominating Jonathan. Those are the lead stories from the Guardian newspaper.
Now, that's it on newspaper headlines this morning. We'll return at 10 o'clock for extended review of newspaper headlines and the inside stories. In the meantime, we'll go on a short break. And when we return, we'll get into our first major topic of discussion. Weapons looted from Libya found its way into Nigeria and in the hand of a terrorist. That's coming from United Nations report as Boko Haram spreads massively to southwest. Join us again. We'll be right back.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vop TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. Vop TV, Voice of the People Television.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice. In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs the voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
ordinary. Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing Vop TV, now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We bring in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. Vop TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, Vop TV. Now you have more than a voice. The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on Vop TV. Entertainment like never before.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you are just joining us, this is VOP This Morning. Well, in a deeply alarming escalation of Nigeria's security crisis, local hunters have captured suspected terrorists in fresh operations, even as extremist groups boldly demand the full implementation of Sharia law amid ongoing violence. Well, United Nations report confirmed that weapons looted during the 2011 Libyan conflict are now in the hands of terrorists operating in Nigeria, arming both Boko Haram factions and bandit networks with deadly firepower. Former Senate President Ahmad Lawan has issued a stark warning that Boko Haram terrorists are gradually achieving their goal of establishing a caliphate, with their activities spreading from the northeast into the southwest using the same modus operandi of abductions, killings, and massacres. Well, this comes as bandits kidnapped a couple in a fresh attack in Kwara State, while Sunday Ihibuhu alleges that some abductions in the southwest, including in Oyo, are politically motivated and vows to expose sponsoring politicians. Well, the situation has triggered strong reactions across the political and security spectrum. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is calling for a complete overhaul of Nigeria's counter-terrorism framework, noting that terrorists are learning and adapting from every attack. The Senate has linked the rising insecurity to social indiscipline and urged the National Orientation Agency to restore civic values, while the Defense Minister is pushing the tech sector to develop local security solutions. Adding to these tensions, the U.S. Embassy issued a security alert to its citizens in Nigeria over potential disruptions from the Take It Back protests in Abuja, as Nigerians grapple with these multi-front threats, from jihadist expansion and sophisticated banditry to the flow of foreign arms. What do we say? Oh, well, we have in the studio here Mr. Dele Fanimo. Dele is a reporter, but he appears there in the capacity of a political affairs analyst. He will help us make sense of these developments. Good morning, Dele, and good to have you join.
Good morning. My pleasure.
Okay, we have also been joined virtually by Barrister Adams, Asim Adams. Barrister Adams is a constitutional lawyer, but he appears here also in the capacity of a political affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Barrister Asim Adams, and thanks for being part of our morning show.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Okay, Barrister Adams. Beautiful, beautiful. Good to have you join us. Let's start from the studio here. Now, Dele, there are too many talking points here. Ahmed Lawan, former Senate President, is telling Nigerians, well, terrorists are moving from the northwest to the southwest. And what is their aim? Their ambition is to declare a caliphate in Nigeria, probably feeling, or more like lending credence to some fears that we used to call conspiracy theory, that the idea is for these people to Islamize Nigeria. How do you react to this? Has the chicken come home to roost in our faces?
Well, it's not out of place. The statement of Amelawa, for somebody to have been at that level, have risen to that level, and is exposed to a lot of information that we are not privy to. So if he's coming, he's not just a flippant person that will just make such statements. Particularly, he is a Muslim and not a Christian. So he has defied emotion to come out to say this is the modus operandi and the focus of these terrorists. So whichever uniform they wear, whatever toga they show to the public, the main fact is this guy is a terrorist and nothing other than being a terrorist. And we often hear some of these things that they want to go and dip the Quran in the ocean. And before you come around to dip the Quran in the ocean and fulfill the instruction given to them by their forefather, with Madame Fodio, that Nigeria is their land and it must be conquered by all means and at all costs. So this is not the first time they are having this kind of expenditure. They did it in the 18th century, and around Oshogbo, Ilesha, and other places, they were resisted, and there was a pushback. The far they could get to was Ikirun in Osun State, and Kwara. Kwara was a tale of betrayal that did us in as Yoruba. But today, that's why they have an emir in Kwara, a Yoruba-speaking environment, and the likes of Sunday Igboho and some other notable Yoruba indigenes can see this, and they have seen it. So that's why they are rising up to challenge this. But unfortunately, I was reading something in the social media this morning, a statement from the police on how they were able to arrest 6 people at different locations in Oyo State, far northern part of Oyo State, Shaki, Aguare, and some in Kwara State that were linked to the terrorists that abducted those children from the school and their teachers. They were willing collaborators. They were the informants. As a matter of fact, they were the ones giving them blow-by-blow account of where they are likely to encounter soldiers and security agents and how to avoid those places in the park, in the forest. And good enough, they were arrested as a result of technology. You know, the conversation they had with them before the attack, during the attack, and after the attack.
Okay, so talking about the role of tech in fighting terrorists,
yes,
we'll talk about all of that.
We'll talk about that. So what I'm saying is that, in a nutshell, whatever we are seeing today is not just something that just happened. And you could see the way they bypassed the technology that is in place, that NIN captured.
Okay.
You will know that these people were intentional, and they're still intentional.
Okay, we'll come back to the tech issue because it is very, very important and instructive. And I would like for us to talk about, maybe in the course of the show, whether the South is paying or the Christendom is paying the supreme price of silence in all of this. Because it started as a conspiracy theory and people were like, oh, it's not. And there was this debate, but look, it's coming out to the fore. In the meantime, let's quickly run to our virtual guest, Barrister Asim Adams. Barrister Adams, good to have you join us once again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Good morning.
Okay, beautiful. Now, insecurity is on our table again this morning, as it has always been, because, it's what is bothering us as a people, clear and present danger, a threat to the survival of Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as a people. Now, we have information that weapons, found that were used in the 2011 crisis in Libya were found in the hands of terrorists in Nigeria here. We have our former Senate President Ahmed Lawan telling us, well, that the terrorists want to declare a caliphate in Nigeria, apparently speaking about Islamizing the entire country. It's been at the level of conspiracy theory. You know what theories are, but now looks like it is happening before us. Let's have your broad reaction to the few talking points around this issue before we get into the specifics of it all.
All right, Mr. Kurusi, this is the problem we have in Nigeria. So one moment, I just bring up a theory and we begin to profile and analyze it, and people begin to believe it. Let me tell you something. ISIS, or whatever they call it, which is, if they want to Islamize a particular place, they demand for money. They can kidnap and keep and hoist their flag. It's different from economic bandits and terrorists. These people operating in Nigeria today. You can't describe them as religious. Yes, they belong to a particular religion, but their main motive is whatever. That is why you see they will tell you to pay 500 million naira from 2 people. So we should not distract from the fact. The problem is that the war has been there. The government of people being harassed, like it or not. And this thing has heightened. It is just as if we are going back to 2014, the Jonathan era. You feel that the Jonathan era, a lot of this kind of things happen. Adoption girls, you have a Chibok, you have a some other kidnapping, you have bombing in anytime Abuja, you remember that was same thing happening now. Now you have these students being kidnapped in Borno, being kidnapped in your state. And what are these people talking about? Asking for money. The one in Ibadan or just added that they should release whatever it is to be. The problem we have is that, just as Sunday Igboho said, citizens are involved in this uprising every time there is an eve of election. The harassment to remove this government, I'm not supporting them, but there's a particular syndicate or group of people that want to take out this government just the way they took out Jonathan. Pattern is the same. All Nigerians are now united that the government must go. So we are going to stampede them out of government and out of power. Then if their own person do not come in, they start the circle again. So this is what I feel. This particular government is being harassed, being intimidated, just like Jonathan government was. The issue of religion, they want to Islamize Nigeria. The one they had in Borno, he did not demand for money. They hoist their flag there and say this is our territory there. Understand? So we must distinguish them between the religious terrorists and the economic religious terrorists. For my opinion is that these people are economic terrorists. That is why they are putting everything. It's a lucrative business for them now. See, in Nigeria, once a business is very lucrative, people need to borrow to engage in that particular business. How come that every day we see people being kidnapped on a daily basis, and the next thing you get 20 million, 500 million? Because they know that the government of the day will be disappearing to pay their government that ransom. These are the situations we are looking at now. And two, the government, we have been speaking, they have been complicit. How come that the areas these terrorists are areas where there is no government presence, or that is parcels of land that are governed? Look at Orire. I know it's a police station in that place. Me tell you, people should understand this. You know that particular Orire local government is one of the best local government in Nigeria. The land mass is massive. In spite of that large expanse of land, there is no security around there. The government has they have blame, then the Nigerian people have their own blame. That inside that particular, really the forest reserve, helicopters were coming to drop or whatever for people who were there. Villagers come to alert the government. If they go alerted the government take any action. The matter that the government need to sit down. Why do you take distance? Forget about the collaboration, whether it is religious terror or whatever terrorist acts. The issue we are looking at is that government must tackle this.
All right.
What has happened to the bill in the House? National Assembly policing. The states the state National Assembly kept that particular, submission. This is the second month in 12 months. Another has been done about it. Religious terrorists or with the government need to give excuses. Come out and deal with these people. They can be dealt with. Whether they are religious or whatever,
All right,
they can be dealt with.
All right, we seem to have a bit of a problem, a bit of a glitch with your network quality. So some of the things you are saying are lost because we can't get them. Well, thank you very much, Chief Barrister Asim Adams. Let's go to another legal practitioner. We have Eze Luche join the conversation also. Good morning to you. Welcome to the conversation. Now, I'd like us to look at the use of insecurity to force out administration. The last speaker spoke about the Jonathan era, and we're seeing a repeat of that. At least that's the narrative that is being put forward. What do you make of that, especially as it concerns the government? The government comes into office and insecurity escalates, and some people say, oh, it is because a few people are aggrieved with the administration, and that's why insecurity is increasing. But then it is the Nigerian that suffers. It is the ordinary Nigerian, the one in the rural area, the one who doesn't have any other person to protect him or her. They are the ones that suffer. What do you say to this idea that insecurity is used to force people out of office? Well, Barrister Eze Luche, I would like for you to unmute your device so we can get your audio feed. All right, we seem to have a problem with the network quality. Let me bring this back to the studio now. Dedefanimo, please help us understand that ideology, that mindset, that insecurity is used to push governments out of office. How did we get here?
Well, when Jonathan was in the saddle and he was forced to pander to the north, and he felt he could pacify the north by establishing Almajiri schools, these nomadic education agency, funding it and all that. But the ultimate goal was this man must be shoved.
Okay,
out of
we understand all of that, but an administration comes into office, and this administration knows that there are people. They say they know those who are peddling insecurity, but then you don't go after them. And then Nigeria starts to lose loved ones. And you say, oh, they're trying to force me out of office. If you know those who are trying to force you out of office, why don't you I mean, if you know them, that means it's safe to say that they might just be the sponsors of insecurity. Why don't you go after them and then stop the suffering of Nigeria?
You see, it's a naughty question, and if I'm answering that question the way I understand as a layman who is not a military personnel or a law enforcement agent, I might not be doing much justice to it, but as much as I can, I will tell you. You see, for me, naming them, what if some of these collaborators are even outside of the country? How do you name them? These Boko Haram insurgents didn't just travel to Libya to buy arms. Because these are sophisticated arms. And if you look at some of these that were shown in the social media, you will understand that these are just common men. They are not as sophisticated as what we hear them do. So it's a clear fact that some big people, even nations, are sponsoring them.
Interesting angle to it. So we've seen reports that some helicopters coming to Nigeria pretending to be carrying aid for those in IDP camps, but then they're supplying weapons to insurgents within those areas. Some areas that are not even, that vehicles cannot get to. Helicopters deliver these things. And we have a government that has intelligence, of course. Is it that the government is afraid to name them? We have the United States, naming countries that are causing harm to people in other parts of the world. They point fingers that, oh, this person, this organization. Just the other day, in France, Lafarge was tried and sent some officers of Lafarge at a certain time were tried for financing insecurity in Sudan. That is naming an organization, and then the individuals that were at the saddle at the time were taken in. Why can't we do the same?
See, let me tell you, if you look at the configuration of the UN, France is among the 5 nations with veto power. America was able to identify Iran as the hotbed of terrorism and sponsor of terrorism across the world because America has the might. But I doubt if we have that might, the military might, to tackle a country like Iran. So rather, it will require tact and a lot of diplomatic push for you to have such people. So it's a difficult thing. I'm not aware that we have even a single missile in our armament here. But Iran was able to stand up to America because it has missiles too. Okay. You understand? Because an average cost of a missile is about $11 million.
I'm not sure anybody is talking about deploying missiles as this time. We are looking at the powerful sponsors.
When you name them, okay, if you name Iran now, what do you do to Iran?
What about the locals? Moses didn't talk about naming countries. Moses talked about naming the powerful individuals and taking them in. He simply made reference to Lafarge in France, which is a company that was identified to have sponsored terrorism in Sudan, and the French government went after it. There was a certain time that the producers of one confectionery product in Nigeria here were mentioned, as terror sponsors in Nigeria. Exactly. And up until this moment, we still buy those products. Yeah. And so if we have a situation where we cannot name powerful individuals and entities, apparently they are more powerful than the state, then the state has no reason to be. Because the state, the instrument of power of the state is supreme, surpasses that of, if a boy of 25 years is the president of this country, that power is bestowed on him. Yeah. So if we have a situation where the government or people in government, the commander-in-chief becomes afraid to name powerful individuals, and he comes to tell us, the powerful cabals are after me and all of that. So where does that leave us?
Well, let's take that question to one of our veteran guests. Let's see. Let's go to Port Harcourt now. We have Comrade Paul Bazia, who joins us from Port Harcourt. Good morning to you. Please do unmute your device so we can get your audio feed.
It's my pleasure being here.
All right, then. Can you respond to the question asked?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I followed the question. As a president, you are concerned with the powers of the sovereignty. Like you rightly said, citizens of your country or business cannot be more powerful than the president. And so what we require now is the president that has the boldness to even offend those that can offend, to even offend that you feel that are your supporters, if you see that what they are doing is wrong. And so no matter how powerful an individual is, or no matter how powerful an organization is, if they have been identified and then as terrorists, so I think it's hard for the administration to name them and take the necessary legal action against those organizations. It is only by doing that you can deter others from doing. And so if the government is not afraid that there are powerful cabals, there are powerful individuals that are untouchable, then what then is the essence of having a government? Because they are more powerful than the government. So if we feel that, okay, if we cannot handle it on our own, then at that stage, we need, support from more powerful nations.
All right, we seem to have, yes, we do have, we seem to have a problem with the network quality. Let's take this conversation to, let's take it back to Asim Adams now, Barrister Asim Adams. Let's get your reaction to the conversation so far, naming these individuals and taking them out. That's the part where we are. Please, Chief Asim Adams, go ahead, please. Do unmute your device.
Yes, the most important thing for a government to do is to name and shame this individual, prosecute them. I don't know the reason. About 13 names or thereabout were given to the Buhari administration. He never prosecuted one. He never even investigated one. He then, at the Federation, Malami kept telling us they are profiling them. They are profiling them. Let them. And the same thing is happening now. Why can't government do? Let me give you, for instance, 9/11 attack in America. You find that the administration at that time and said no terrorist can operate in American soil if there are no financiers. The financiers are the ones who give them the breath. They give them the oxygen to operate. And so what they did, they had to go after, first of all, the financiers. They got information from the terrorists that were arrested, who don't name the financiers. American government went after those people, and to be shocked that about 4 prominent NGOs were found to be behind Al-Qaeda and the rest of them. So they went for those people, prosecuted them, gave them, place a PND on their account. Banks that were involved in this transaction, they have issues with their licenses. For not reporting to government the enormous amount of money that were passing through the account. The bank was one of them. And that they had to, it was called. Immediately the financiers were gotten, they could not carry out any attack in America anymore. So the situation of this nature is what the government will do. The government of Nigeria should look for these financiers. Because if you look at those terrorists who are they are just food soldiers. These are food soldiers, normally little terrorists who have some people are sponsoring them. So go and get them. I have to tell you that you have to invite a sheikh. Do you need anybody to tell you, for instance, that you have to invite that man and say, oh, yeah, please call for question with the DSS, NIA. Even recently, this man said, if he is given the opportunity, he will go and negotiate with those bandits that brought those people in the forest. Now, I'm telling you open that he has connect with these people. He may not be a sponsor, but he knows one of them. So why government not done that?
All right.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
In the word of IPOD, if a bishop
All right, I think, okay. Chief Asim Adams, now let's look at the role of government in all of this. Can we say, before I ask the question, we know that officially in Nigeria there is a law against payment of ransom when ransom is demanded. I mean, the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act speaks against paying ransom. But then there are reports that the federal government of Nigeria at some point have paid ransom, even though government officials have denied this a lot of times. But in the St. Mary's boarding school incident, the one that happened in Niger State, the Agence France Presse, that's AFP, cited intelligence sources claiming that the federal government of Nigeria paid the sum of 2 billion and 10 billion naira each at different times to Boko Haram commanders. Now, that, of course, was denied, and that also secured the release of the 230 abducted pupils. But that's not all. Kankara schoolboys abduction, Katsina State. Report has it that the bandits were given 30 million naira by the federal government of Nigeria to secure the release of 340 students. Dapchi is another incident that comes to mind. Dapchi schoolgirls abduction. A United Nations report alleged a large ransom was paid to free the girls. Well, we do know that the federal government publicly dismissed the report as mere conjecture. But that's, with all of these reports denied, but would you say that government has increasingly sponsored terrorism by paying ransom? Because we know that when these monies are paid, they are used to procure weapons which are used to further terrorize the people. Can we say that the Nigerian government, knowingly or unknowingly, is sponsoring terrorism? Chief Asim Adams. All right. We've lost connection to Chief Asim Adams. Do we have Barrister Eze Eluchie online? All right, so let me bring this back to the studio. Delefanimo, can we say, is it okay to say that the federal government of Nigeria, knowingly or unknowingly, is aiding, sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria with payment of ransom, even though we know that lives were saved by it? 340 here, 200 plus here, children that were kidnapped, were rescued, and all of that.
I'm sure that there are two perspectives to these questions. Now, the official answer and then the emotive answer.
Okay.
I'm sure not many people had the courage to watch the slaughtering of Oyedepo and dismembering of his body. So, and that sends a clear signal, and that's part of terror that these people are unleashing. So imagine the families of those children that are still kept in the forest, and they also see what is likely to await those children. Would they not be compelled to pay ransom? That is the only way to
No,
save.
I'm talking about government now. So,
No,
so
I'm just
basically,
giving you an
government
example.
doesn't have a choice.
I'm trying to explain the emotive part of it. It will come to the official part. Now, if those people are anxious that they want to save their children, the first thing they do is to run to government. You heard what that woman said.
Oh, yes.
That please, federal government, state government, Seyi Makinde, please come to our aid. These people are becoming restless. Because what is haunting that woman is probably the way a vice principal in a school was slaughtered in her presence. So, federal government would be compelled to say, let us save the lives of these people. Especially when you know that these people are deploying technology, they are deploying superior firepower. Who would ever imagine that a kidnapper would lace the path to their den with IEDs? When they started, they were not doing all of this. So it's no longer a question of kidnapping. You are just trying to, you see, paper it down by saying banditry, kidnapping. These are terrorists. Everything has shown. Even how did they get rocket launchers? So government at times will be compelled. Imagine if Adelabu were to be power minister up till now, and they are demanding 100 million naira for the release of those, his sibling and that of the twins. How would he react? He'll probably be overtaken by an emotion to want to pay. But the important thing is, I told somebody yesterday that if these terrorists are negotiating that their members held in various prisons should be released in exchange for these people, why not? If I were in government, I would release them. Do you know why I have to release them? You can still catch them tomorrow. But save the life of these people first. Let them get out of their den.
That would be a very tough call, for the Nigerian government. But I want us to also
I've seen
analyze...
I've seen it happen in the past, where one robbery suspect was released to catch 5 other robbery suspects in Nigeria here.
All right. So what I want to ask you is that we are no longer seeing local thieves now. These are heavily armed people, heavily armed men who are openly demanding for Sharia law. In Kwara, the modus operandi has even changed. They're going into people's homes and picking people. So, with your experience, reporting defense and the military, do you think our military can actually match these guys' firepower? If you are to speak realistically.
Let me tell you, the truth about it is they can. And if the political will is there, they will decimate these people. You understand? But the point is, experiences in the past had made them complacent. It's just like you have a dog at home. Yeah. Each time the dog tries to bark, you rebook that dog. The day thief will come to your compound, it will not bark. Yeah. Now, we have seen major generals, we have seen colonels being tried for doing what is right in their own estimation as somebody who has discretionary power to do certain things. We have seen soldiers that were sentenced to death on the excuse of mutiny, just because they were going after these Boko Haram people. We have seen those have been killed. Rotile, that young lady was, to me, I assume that she was killed because this lady, at that age, was always right on target when he's moving against these people. Yeah. So, if we are talking about this ransom thing, if it is going to give temporary relief while the military is unleashed on these people, then we can have our way.
All right.
Process.
Okay. All right, Dele. I want us to go back to the issue that we raised earlier, or that I raised earlier.
Technology.
No, not conspiracy theory, to what is more like a reality now. Going by what former Senate President Ahmed Lawan said, that, well, these people want to declare a caliphate in Nigeria. We are talking about core terrorists, not bandits and kidnappers, terrorists in this case. They tried it once during the Jonathan era, got 3 local government areas and declared a caliphate and installed an
I think it was 17.
17 Mieti Allah cattle raiders who carry AK-47 assault rifles. Now, do you think that the Nigerian people, including the Christendom, are we paying the supreme price of silence? Because more like we papered over these things, but the things is in our faces now, and we are grappling with it. Has the South kept quiet for long?
Yeah, you're right. We've kept quiet for long, particularly in the Christendom. There is this, we were playing the ostrich and trying to be politically correct and not facing this problem head on. Because I've not seen and I've not heard, I've not read anywhere where it was reported that Christians from the South went to launch an attack, not once, in the North. And when you profile these people, they are Muslims and they don't hide it. So anybody that is trying to paper over this thing and trying to circumvent this thing is just wasting time. And the more you waste time, the more they get incursion into your territory and then decimate you. You can imagine our own forest now invaded by outsiders. Today they will say they are foreigners. Tomorrow, why didn't they do that in their own country? Some of these people are Nigerians. Some of them are Chadians. Why didn't they do that in their own country? Some of them are Malians. Why have they taken this place as their permanent home? Bello Toji is from Niger Republic. But he knew what the military junta there would do to him. That's why he ran down to Nigeria. Now he's becoming a chief. Some of them are even conferred with titles, with turban, just to reduce the tension in their various communities. So what we are saying is, anybody that is shying away from the fact that this is a war of terror is only wasting his time. And the issue of Islamization is clear about this. Why would somebody, a stranger from another country, want to invade my country, come to my locality, sack my people, and install people around my community, and I will be helpless? So that's the reason why I said we must force the government to give us state police.
But aside the state police, these guys have made like a very huge incursion into the Southwest at an alarming speed. In fact, when you look at some of the incidents that have happened lately, it's almost impossible not to believe that they are everywhere. I mean, those of us, we are broadcasting from Lagos. We live in Lagos, obviously. And then in our little cocoon, we still feel like it's still far off. It's still in Oyo. It's not got into Ogun State.
When it was in Kwara, they said it was
so I just
far.
wanted to say that, do you think the Southwestern government or even the military is prepared for what might unfold? I mean, God forbid. So,
you see, from my little closeness to the military, the game is changing. The game is changing as we speak. That's one. Two, I am encouraged by the spirit of the Yoruba people. One, everybody is united in this fight. And I've not seen even Muslims in the Southwest supporting these people. Even if they support them clandestinely, but have not come to the open to defend them. And that gives me a lot of courage. Apart from the Sunday Igboho that we see, a lot of people are coming out and they are deploying whatever power, call it spiritual, call it juju, whatever. But the important thing is our destination is to flush out these people. And so whatever means to achieving that end, I'm in support. And people are deploying. We have seen videos of some of these people being caught far into the forest. Some had even built houses in some of these forests that were destroyed by local hunters. So that tells you that if there is collaboration, look at the job of the police. The police have been doing a wonderful job of late, because before now we felt the police has no role to play, but they were actually trained in crime detention, not fighting all the time, you know, and that they have deployed in ensuring that they were able to arrest the collaborators, and it starts from there. And I'm sure that it will get to a point that these people will be located through whatever means. And these hunters, these vigilantes, they are not afraid to go into the forest. They have arrested some.
All right, then. Dele, before we leave this topic, let's talk a bit about the technology that we mentioned earlier. How do we deploy technology in the fight on terror? Presidential candidate of the AAC, Omoyele Sowore, says a drone will be his
vice president.
No, his minister of
Minister of
Defense.
Defense.
Okay.
You know, so technology, the war on terror. How far can we go?
You see, technology is such a dynamic space where if you are vast today, in the next 6 months, if you are not following up, you will become an illiterate. Now, we felt NIN was robust enough that you could track. We felt the technology in CBN that also monitors the various deposit banks would help them to get to the root of money laundering that is funneled through some of these banks for purchase of arms. But what I read this morning, according to police reports on how they were able to track these suspects that are linked allegedly to the bandits that came to raid those schools in Orire local government, was that their own technology is able to bypass the normal telephony, that nobody could track them. Their geographic location could not be tracked because the kind of phones they were using were deployed something different from our own satellite. And you now want to tell me that that kind of person doing this is an everyday terrorist.
So basically they use burner phones.
Yes, burner phones. Now, the second part of it is that they have a way of opening bank accounts in some of these banks that will be away from the prying eyes of the bank and even central bank that's supposed to monitor. Do you know there's a technology that alerts EFCC if your threshold of saving surpasses certain amount? But these people are able to circumvent that. So now you now know that we are no longer dealing with kidnappers or anybody other than terrorists.
You touched on an important point, and before we close, so before we rest this topic, let me just bring it up. One of the videos I saw, a journalist, I think from was it AFP or so, or BBC, yeah, he visited one of the schools, you know, that was where the abduction happened. And if you look at the geography of the school is actually in the middle of nowhere, and it's surrounded by big bushes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the video,
Yeah.
big bushes. And then the journalist did say in the video that in that village, there's no network. That there's no network in that location. That was why they couldn't call for help.
It comes
or
and
backup.
fades.
Okay, well.
Just like when GSM started.
Yeah, so that suggests that there's a lot of intelligence, just like you said. So don't you think the Ministry of Education, I do know that every state has the security votes, you know, given to governors every month and all of that. Don't you think that it should also be called to book, like held accountable? Because if you look at the nature of the school, dilapidated, not to even talk about the security around the school. And we do know that there are other schools like that in that state, even in Lagos. So what proactive measures do you think they can begin, you know, to do to beat this terrorists in their track?
See, the unfortunate part of this is that majority of those politicians who are supposed to do something about schools like that they don't have their children even in Nigeria. So it doesn't really bother them. You will see heightened security deployment as a result of the kidnap of Adelabu's sister and her children. It won't be the same as when an ordinary man is kidnapped.
All right. Well, let's anchor this conversation here. We'll pick it up some of the time as we focus on, as we try to solve the insecurity problem. Be definitely in Nigeria. But let's talk politics now. Ahead of 2027 elections, Pastor Adeboye too old for change. P2B to Nigeria youths. Let's x-ray this statement when we come back from this break. Stay with us.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Welcome back. You're still watching VOP this morning. In a pointed message stirring intense debate across Nigeria, Peter Obi, the 2027 presidential candidate of the Nigerian Democratic Congress, has urged the country's youth to take full responsibility for demanding a better future instead of relying on elderly religious leaders like Pastor Enoch Adeboye of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Speaking amidst recent controversies and social media attacks on the 84-year-old cleric over national challenges, Obi praised Adeboye as a respected father of faith who has long championed peace, unity, and reconciliation, but stressed that it would be unfair to burden him with the heavy task of leading political and societal change in the country. Of leading political and societal change in the country, and asked Nigerians to do better. He said the task of building a better Nigeria rests primarily on the shoulders of the younger generation, will be declared. He also called on the youth to lead conversations, champion reforms, and drive positive change, while warning against divisive ethnic and religious narratives designed to distract from the core governance issues ahead of the crucial 2027 polls. Dele, let's examine this. I mean, in the last few days, there have been calls from Nigerians urging religious leaders, Adeboye primarily, to speak up. Because I do remember that when the popular, there was an uprising a few years back.
Occupy Nigeria.
Yes, Occupy Nigeria, yes. Occupy, not EndSARS, Occupy Nigeria at Ojota. And I do remember that Adeboye was one of the religious leaders, who called for better governance. But I mean, years down the line now, nothing. Everybody's like pin drop silence. And Nigerian youths are asking for them to speak up. So, I mean, is this what do you think about this? Is this a good call?
You see, religious leaders have a critical role to play in Nigerian politics because most politicians are their members. Only few of them don't attend mosque or church. So, for instance, if there's going to be any uprising in the north, it's usually on Friday after Jumat. And what that tells you is simply telling you that these people, they take instructions from their clerics. And I know that even in churches, they take instructions from their clerics too. It may be subtle, it may not be direct. But when a leader begins to hype somebody and trying to either ignore or sidestep another person running the same election, you know where the pendulum swings. But the point is, I have not seen anywhere in the Constitution or Criminal Procedure Act or any, even electoral law, that stops a cleric from saying the truth. And you are seen as unbiased if you can stand up to say the truth at all times. That's the kind of cleric I want to identify with. Not somebody who says it when it is convenient for him. And you know the funny thing about our religious leaders, when they want to push an agenda, they will not say, I'm saying this, but it is God says this. And because we are quick to believe that they are closer to God than us, we tend to believe them. And we take it and run with it. So this is not just for Pastor Adeboye alone. There are so many other clerics too. In fact, the level of involvement of clerics in 2023 election was terrible. They were almost setting this country ablaze. They were short of saying this is a crusade. Muslims are fighting, Christians are fighting Muslims and all that. We shouldn't be. It's just like a traditional ruler. The day you become a traditional ruler in your community, you are the head of the community, not head of a particular house. The moment you pander to a particular house, then you have lost your authority. And same with this. I know some of my friends that decided not to go to church again after 2023 election.
Okay, I think what Obi is trying to say here is the youth should take responsibility for what they want. If they desire a better country, they should take responsibility, as against looking at the likes of Oyedepo or, as against looking up to religious leaders or any other person that has spoken up against bad government and the rest of them. One incident readily comes to mind for students of history, and those and maybe those that were around at the time, those that followed these stories and the rest of them. How old was Wole Soyinka when he went into
to make that announcement on radio?
Western
broadcasting. He was in his 30s.
He was in his 30s at the time.
Yes.
All right. When Ladoke Akintola, am I correct?
Ubu was a
there
minister at
was the
23.
speech being made on radio, and he stopped the speech and put in an anti-government speech, basically, to say that, look, we the people are not pleased with this government in power. He was in his 30s at the time, but in a situation whereby young Nigerians get on social media and basically throw shades at religious leaders and those that we've even forgotten the likes of Bekor and some Kuti and the rest of them who in their prime spoke up. But we have more youth looking up to those people, expecting them to lead protests now. What is wrong with the Nigerian youth? Do you think it's something wrong with the Nigerian youth? How would you place this?
Now, I'm going to deploy sociology and psychology in answering this question. Now, How are we raised? How are we raising this so-called youth today? Now, those days, I went to a particular school, wrote my common entrance exam, collected from, wrote my common entrance, went to interview. My parents were around. Nobody followed me. Today, to get admission for your child, you will be present during JAMB, that they will even have to chase you out of the venue. Now, what courage would that child have to face the world? 2, a child that you say he cannot trek 500 meters and he has never trekked 500 meters. And then there is a protest that starts from Yaba, NLC headquarters in Yaba, to Alausa, that is about 10 kilometers stretch. How will that child do that? 3, when they cancelled history in secondary school curriculum, no, majority of us didn't pay attention to that. At the end of the day, ask a youth today in this country who was Abiola.
All right.
Not to talk of Azikiwe. Some of us, when we were in secondary school, we already had a mental picture of Mansa Musa, even when we have not traveled out of this country.
So basically, it is the fault of people like you who are parents who...
No, I didn't train the child like that anyway.
Who have failed.
Who have failed in their duties.
Well, let's go to another parent, maybe a grandparent, in fact, Chief Asim Adams. Let me come to you now. The youths are basically leaving the responsibility of demanding good governance to those who have spent quite a number of time on earth, as against taking responsibility. And Peter Obi is saying, look, stop looking at the likes of Oyedepo or Enoch Adeboye. Take responsibility. What do you make of that statement? I understand that you've been following the conversation.
The point is not to agree with Peter Obi. Nation building, the youth and the old build nations. Look at the Nigeria mantra. The youths that fought our independence, Awolowo, Zikiwe, Bello, and they looked up to people like Joe Davis and Herbert Macaulay. They were included. Who are others that I mentioned right now. Also part of the struggle for our independence. Literally, but they started it before the youths now took over from there. If you look at what has happened, yes, people have been saying Debo is ready, he's a cleric, he does not have whatever to tell the government. I'm asking myself, there's a certain Bishop Desmond Tutu. Here we had certain Archbishop Ulukoji. These people operated under very times. Ulukoji operated under the military regimes of Abacha, the other, all of them there. Bishop Desmond speaking out during Apata. Mother Teresa of Calcutta. These were clerics who were speaking against ills of government and governance. Of their ages, even the Pope Leo, as I speak to you, is in his 70s or thereabouts. He dared Donald Trump in America to when he's going wrong, he says, this is not mistake. We all know his views in the Iran war. That oh, you are a cleric does not mean you cannot participate. Or you say things you see bad governance. To take inspiration or draw from people like him.
All right then. Unfortunately, there's a network glitch there. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Mahatma Gandhi was to this man.
All right. We do apologize for the glitch in the network there, preventing our guests from, preventing you from hearing everything that our virtual guests have to say. But let's touch on our outstation in where we have one of our guests. That's Port Harcourt, our Port Harcourt outstation, where we have Comrade Paul Bazia. Comrade Paul, if you can hear me, please, let's have your reaction to the conversation.
I would in phases. First of all, I support PB for putting out the youths. Presently, you have students that are APC extraction, PDP extraction. They cannot come to fight for their own rights. Like in Rivers State, where we are, last how many years students have not gotten scholarship, students have not gotten bursary, they don't get proper funding. They come to protest. You understand? So now, these our young people in the university, do they expect their fathers to come and protest for them for their own basic rights? So it's tough for you to look at an 84-year-old person that has to come and live on the street. I don't think so. The youth of Nigeria to take responsibility and state for their own rights and good governance.
All right.
I remember here
Mr.
when
Paul.
the latest military governor of Rivers State and the likes of Hope right of Aaron Dapabrie, they were in their early 30s, and it took a lot of leadership. I understand now that the youth don't have the opportunity of mounting leadership responsibility.
Mr. Paul Bazia, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think let's be clear on one thing. Now, the backlash is coming amid the call by Pastor Enoch Adeboye. The youths are not asking him to go and protest. He never protested. As a matter of fact, during the Occupy Nigeria in 2012, he wasn't part of the people that protested. Yes, he was not part of it. When they saw him carrying a placard, that was in 2020, and RCCG has made that clarification, and it is very well noted. The position of Nigerians is that during the Jonathan era, that Pa Adeboye was very outspoken, asking him to personally take responsibility for insecurity and probably economic decline at that point. But a few days ago, Adeboye said, well, the service chiefs should resign if they are unable to fight insecurity in 90 days. And so the Nigerian youths are saying, what happened between then and now? In 2015, 14, and 13, you held Jonathan responsible. Why are you not holding Tinubu responsible? And so that is what caused the backlash. Nigerian youths are not asking him to come and protest. I hope the point is very well clear.
Okay, I will respond now. Yeah, even me. Have to look at look like our grandfather this and because position that you should be people to power. I also have that bias to if you give 90 days ultimatum to the service chief, what happens to the then command? Because the service chief can only do to the end of the support that they get under in chief. So if a few years ago you not responsible for the security situation, and if you fail to show, I think it's only up for him to call on the commander in chief to also take responsibility. Yeah, and people are beginning to feel that why he has not been forthcoming is because very member of his own have been of this APC administration from 2015 today. We have the live vice president Muhammad Buhari as also a pastor on all of that. They have that bias. Me too, I'm equally joining them to call him, and not only him. That on the president, we know that you have a voice, and that if you speak, the president will listen to you, and that if you speak, people will respect you. Call on the president to take action.
All right, then. Thank you very much. That will be a good place to anchor the conversation. Call on the president to take action. Well, thank you very much, Comrade Paul Bazian Sane. Thank you for your time and your contribution on the program. We've also had Daily Fanimo with us in the studio. Well, he stays with us into newspaper review. We must appreciate Chief Asim Adams, who joined the conversation as well. Unfortunately, the network prevented us from getting the wholesomeness of his contribution on the program. Well, that's all we have for you this morning on VOP This Morning. Newspaper review comes up next. That's 10 o'clock. I am Moses Humphrey. Join us again at 10.
I'm Jane Ogoye. Thank you for watching. Newspaper review is next.
I'm Chukwuma Okoro. Bye for now.
Nigerians, your voice matters, and in 2027 it starts with your permanent voters card, your PVC. If you're 18 and above and you're a Nigerian citizen, you have the right to choose who leads your community, your state, and your country. But that right only counts if you have your PVC and your name is on the voter register. Here's what to do. First, check if you're registered. If you're not, or if you've moved, lost your card, or turned 18 since the last election, go to the nearest INEC office or an INEC registration center. Second, it's free. Don't pay anyone for any registration or collection. Third, collect your PVC early. Don't wait until the week before elections. INEC will announce dates. Listen to radio, TV, and follow INEC's official pages. Your PVC is more than plastic. It's your power to hold leaders accountable. It's how you decide on roads, schools, hospitals, and jobs for your community. When you vote, you decide the future of your children. Get registered. Get your PVC. Vote in 2027. For Nigeria to work, you must be a part of it. Your vote, your future, your responsibility.